Okay. Okay, it looks like I'm online, and it looks like I'm not having much lag. It looks like my voice and my mouth are in sync, which is nice to see. So it looks looking okay. Um, we're going to be looking at episode 6. I am Craig Dillon, your observationist, and we're going to be taking a look at the 2026 Senate elections. Um, I'll tell you what, I'm going to, yeah. Okay, we're going to look at the 2026 Senate elections, Louisiana and Florida going blue. And we're going to be looking at an overall Senate balance prediction, too. I'm going to do that, but I want to look primarily at Louisiana and Florida. Okay, why Louisiana and Florida? Well, because right now, if you look at Silver and Cook and Let's Talk Elections, they are basically showing they're showing that particular those particular states as being solid red, deep red, and as if those were a lock to go Republican. And in my analysis, which is a very different process than what they go through, they look backwards using past voting trends as well as and then current polls. I don't. I'm looking at the current polls, plus then I look at what's going on, and I then project and forecast into the future where I think things are going. It's a different process, and my way is probably a little more risky, but not in this situation. And the reason why is because the methodology used by Cook, Silver, and Let's Talk Elections, they look back to the past history. They look at how elections worked in 24 and 22 and 20, 18, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Problem is, though that kind of analysis is based upon an assumption that the world we're living in now is very similar to the world we were living in 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, etc. And things can happen, as you'll see with Louisiana and with Florida, that could totally change the landscape. In Louisiana, there's a structural change. Elections aren't being held the same way. They're not being processed the same way. Even if this wasn't a Trump year, it doesn't matter. Cassidy is unelectable. I got a cat here. Excuse me. Probably getting near dinner time. Anyway, when you get into structural issues, they could change how elections are, the results of elections, if you change how the elections are being run. So I'll tell you, let's just start off with Louisiana, since I'm bringing that up, kind of. Nope. Excuse me. There we go. And I think that should be, yeah, okay. This is what we have. This is, by the way, my prediction. Okay. Kind of crazy, I know. But let's talk about Louisiana and Florida. In Louisiana, we have there a senator. His name is Cassidy, and he's been senator now for 2 terms, and he tends to be more of a centrist. But that is because of the way the elections were held, or I should say the primaries were held in Louisiana at that time. And they had what was called they had what was called an open election, open primary. And that is where A person walks into a polling booth, and no matter who they are, they say, okay, I want to vote in the Democratic primary, or I want to vote in the Republican primary. And then they vote that way. Problem with that. The problem with that is that the independents then have a big impact on that election, on that selection. So Cassidy had to basically tilt towards the middle to get elected, and that is that results in a certain type of candidate. Last year, the Republican legislature in Louisiana changed all that. They moved to a closed primary system, and in a closed primary system, only the Republicans can vote in a Republican primary. Only the Democrats vote in a Democrat primary. The independents, they don't vote anywhere. So what happens is that what's happening now is that Cassidy's in trouble because a very right-wing Trump-endorsed candidate is challenging him. He's not going to win that. He's dead in the water. But meanwhile, a Trump-endorsed, held closely to the breast type Trump candidate is not likely going to win. They're just not going to happen. And so I see that Louisiana is almost certainly going to go Democrat. I put that at like real high percentage, 90%, something like that. I don't see Republicans having a ghost of a chance in Louisiana. Now in Florida, that is a different beast altogether. Let's look, understand what's going on in Florida. It has been a traditionally Republican state, at least for the past 20, 30 years. And a major reason for that is the Cuban Americans in Florida. Cuban Americans have been a staunch pillar for the Republican Party in Florida since the 60s. And their staunch support gave them Miami. It made Miami, as far as I know, the only large city in the United States having a Republican mayor traditionally. Well, Trump, in his infinite stupidity, went into Florida with his ICE and Border Patrol agents and terrorizing people, and started picking on the Cuban Americans. Last summer, they detained a man by the name of Isidro Perez, a 75-year-old Cuban American, been in the United States since 1965, well respected, well liked, admired person. And ICE killed him in detention. And then their further abuse and stopping and terrorizing of the Cuban American community has basically caused the reaction of the Cuban American community in Florida to go Democrat. Now, I'm not just saying that; the results prove it. The mayor race, I said the mayor race in Miami has traditionally been Republican. The last time there was an election there, not the recent one, but the one before that, the Republican won by, like 60 to, 70% to, 40, 30% for the Democrat. Well, guess what happened in the recent election in just this last December? It went to the Democrats by about 60%, 70%. There was like a 60 point swing from the Republicans to the Democrats in that election. 60 points. And that's mainly because of the Cuban American vote shifting. And that shift is not temporary. That's not one-off. My feeling is that's going to be a permanent shift. After all, the reason why they became Republican, as I understand it, is because Kennedy canceled the Bay of Pigs. And they were really upset about that, the canceling Bay of Pigs invasion, where they had hoped to take back Cuba. That didn't happen. And so they got pissed and they became Republicans. Well, it shows you they hold one thing. It shows they could hold a grudge for a long time. So if that's their pattern, then we could expect them to hold onto their new democratic identity for the next 30, 40, 50 years. So that changes the whole landscape in Florida. Then, of course, we have the other things happening in Florida. The real estate crash is causing huge problems. Real estate insurance companies leaving Florida. Then we have the tourism crash, which because Trump hates tourists, it seems, and then his attack on Canada. It means the Canadian snowbirds are coming down to Canada. So they're causing a bit of a tourism crash. They're adding on to that real estate crash as well. So there's all kinds of problems happening in Florida. And so there's more than just the Cuban American community that is affected. And there's more than that reason for people to vote against the Republicans and against Trump. So I don't think Ashley Moody has a ghost chance in hell of getting elected. Not reelected, because remember, she was appointed after Marco Rubio became a Secretary of State under Trump. So she was not even elected to that position. So people don't have any felt loyalty to her because they didn't select her, they didn't vote for her. So I think that she's out. Also, she's not known to be a good campaigner. Then there's that, which is not a big help. So I see both Louisiana and Florida going Republican. As for these other ones, I have these colored, the level of blue that I feel that I have a confidence in them. The dark blue I feel very certain about. These are going. And that would be, so I have 58 minus these 4, and so this is 50. So I have 54 as being I'm very, very confident about. The ones I'm not as confident about are Kentucky, Nebraska, Kansas, and Texas. Not as confident about those. I think that they may surprise me. I think they're going to go blue, but I could be surprised there. So basically my high water mark is like 58. My low water mark is 54. Is 54. So you see that's still, even 54 would be a huge, huge shift for the Democrats. This would change the Senate and House abilities to govern and to oppose Trump. And that's another issue. I think one reason why this is going to happen is because the Republicans in Congress, in both the Senate and the House, have allied themselves so totally with Trump, and they've allowed him to do whatever he wanted with virtually no opposition from either the House or the Senate. So they're not doing their advisory capacity to the president. They're not holding the president accountable. They're just letting him do whatever he wants. ICE, the Republicans in Congress, in the House and Senate, they're trying to make sure that ICE has all the power to do what they want to do, kill as many people as they want to kill. I think people don't want that. I think that there's going to be a huge reaction across the country. And I think that it's going to show up in the elections coming. So I think we're coming to a realignment. Now, let me define realignment versus a blue wave. We have had blue waves a number of times in the past, in the past 20, 30, 40 years. And they usually occur after a certain situation happens, and it's a temporary situation, and people either get, they get pissed off about about something going on, and then they punish a party for that. But it's just a one-off thing. It's not something that's unsustained. It's like a wave. It washes in, and then it washes away. But in a realignment is where the voter's identity changes, not just merely voting differently for that one election. No, they're not going to vote differently in future elections for the foreseeable future. The biggest realignment happened in 1932 when the nation switched from being a Republican nation to a Democrat nation. And that was huge. And that lasted, because even Eisenhower was a progressive. So that really lasted all the way to Reagan. So that's a long time. That's what, 1932 to 1980. It's almost 50 years. It's 48 years. That's a long time for a certain situation to exist. So anyway, the realignment I think is going to change how people vote for the next 20, 30 years. I think that Trump's attack on the rural farm vote, by attacking their industry and taking away their hospitals and healthcare, I think that's going to cost the Republican Party dearly for the next few decades. This is not going to be minor because the Republican Party is so identified with Trump that now his policies are the Republican Party's policies, and they just can't simply walk away from that. And that's going to really hurt them, for a long, 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 long time. So that's my analysis. I hope you agree with it. If not, that's okay. Please leave comments. If you don't agree with it, leave some comments. I'd appreciate that. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? If you think I'm wrong, don't just say I'm wrong. I mean, that's easy to disagree. If you could explain why you think I'm wrong, why you think a state that I have going blue is not going to go blue, it's going to go red. If you come up with good reason, by the way, I'm totally open to changing my mind on things. This is for my analysis. If you could show me how and where my analysis is wrong, I'm good with that. Anyway, thanks a lot. I appreciate your looking at this. Hope you consider it, and I'll see you again.